Yeah.
Would you guys feel more comfortable doing it one at a time, your oath, or would you like me to have all three of you stand up and do it at the same time?
It surely doesn't matter to me if
Well,
we
we
do
can
it.
all-
It doesn't matter.
All three at the same time.
Is that okay?
Me, yeah.
As long as we don't get our names mixed up.
I'm George, no, I'm not George, I'm not George.
No, here's what I'll do, I'll go, I state your name, and George, I state your name.
All right, well, let's call this meeting of the Warsaw Redevelopment Authority to session here, call to order. The first thing we have on the agenda is the oath of office. And we don't have to say the pledge for this because it's,
All right, I'd like all three of you to stand, and again, I want to thank you for your service to the city on a variety of fronts. We'll do this all together,
okay.
and if you'd raise your right hand. I state your name, do solemnly swear
I, Max Fox, do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully,
and
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and diligently
and
diligently
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as a member of the Redevelopment Authority
as a member of the Redevelopment Authority
for the city of Warsaw, Indiana,
for the city of Warsaw, Indiana,
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my ability.
and to the best of my ability.
Thanks a lot. Man, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good, yeah. You'll need some signatures here before you leave.
Okay.
Take care of that, but thank you.
All right. The next item on our brief meeting is the election of officers, as usual. So-
Current.
Oh, and I think we know the current. I'm the president. Steve is the secretary, and Max the vice president. So I'll entertain any motions for, you can replace me if you want.
I'm going to be keeping the same as they are.
Oh, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So it's unanimous. We keep the set of officers as we have, as we did last year. Next item is unfinished business, which says
None.
none. Okay.
So we have to hold this meeting beginning of the year, every year to elect officers. We have a lot of projects this year. I don't know if or when we'll need the Redevelopment Authority. As you know, there are two different boards that allow us to enter into lease financing, one being you, the Redevelopment Authority, the other being the Building Corp. Depending on the different models of funding that we use for projects, that's kind of when you're called to service. We've got the Millworks project that we're going to be doing a bond issue on. I don't know how we're going to finance that quite yet. Don't know what that bond looks like. We've got a Buffalo Street project we're still trying to get to a finish line at some point in time. So a lot of projects. I don't have anything that I can say for sure that we're going to be doing at this point, but as we progress throughout the year, we'll keep you guys in the loop on the things that we're doing. Every year I do send you guys the reports. So for the Redevelopment Commission and Authority, it's part of my requirements to help you guys fulfill the state requirements and submitting that information. That is due, I believe, like April 15th or 16th, so I'll get those out to you sometime in the next month and a half.
Yeah, and you get those, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because that's a wealth of information. And, we all appreciate that.
I don't know that I've got those. But when do you send those out?
I usually send them to everyone around end of March, April,
By mail or email?
email.
Okay.
Yeah, I send everything through email.
Okay, yeah, I haven't been getting those.
I will, I'll send you the 20, like we said, we'll send you last year's,
Okay.
and I'll send you you'll get the 2023 one.
Okay.
Yeah, you should get it so you know what's coming up. And remember the one year we had kind of a busy
Yeah, we did.
time.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be blocked. I don't, because I send them I have the Redevelopment Authority and the Redevelopment Commission as groups. So I send them out in a group email, so
Okay.
I don't know if maybe it's getting blocked.
That's
or
very
what,
possible,
but,
yeah.
I'll send you, we'll make sure we send you the 2022 ones,
Okay,
and then when I get the new report, I'll send that out.
okay, great,
Yeah,
thank you.
I'll try to think of that in that time and remind them to make sure that you're contacted, Steve. So that's nothing we need to talk about there. Any new business that we have to know about?
Not at this time.
Same. New business. And before I adjourn, if anybody, I noticed you were talking before I got here a little bit, asking Jeremy about what's going on. Any other questions for him? We've been trying to get things caught up at redevelopment, but it's
Yeah, lots of projects. I mean,
Lots going on.
more projects than I can remember.
most you can't talk about.
Some I can't talk about,
Yeah,
but we just have a lot of projects, and so it's hard for me to say right now whether or not we'll be engaged throughout the year. But we do have the Owens property, i.e. the Millworks. We have the Buffalo Street project we're trying to do. Gatkey, we did a lease financing on that, but it was through the building corporation because of the way that bond and, well, so the difference is when we do lease financing for infrastructure, i.e. the airport industrial park, which you guys were a part of, because that was us doing the work, you or the entity, the leasing entity, because the GACI is a private construction, that is the building corp's purpose. So that leasing agreement went through them because it was a private, so the bond issue is being paid to a private developer, which is why that went to the building corp side. So as we do infrastructure projects that are leasing, you guys are involved. As we do building, whether they be structural or private developments, that's when the building corp pops in. We finished up a couple of lift station projects last year. We are working on our third shell building. That's pretty much been done. Trying to find tenants for the remaining space. There's a lot more. I'm forgetting a lot more.
it's so early.
I'm helping some different entities with some plans. The Marsh Building, we've got a development agreement with a group out of Alabama that's doing the retail strategies, which we consulted with to market Warsaw for retail opportunities. So we're trying to actively fill that Marsh Building with some retail options. Yeah, so a lot of different things going on. All of that will kind of be reflected in that report from last year. I mean, unfortunately, the reports are in a year behind, but I usually give a synopsis, and in that report, there'll be what we did and what we're doing and what we hope to do. So it's kind of a good roadmap. So.
And isn't there a chart of the finances too?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the budget, so you'll have budget from, so the one we'll send out today will have budget from the money that was spent in 2022, the budget for 2023. This year's we'll have what was spent in 2023 and the budget for 2024.
On the North Buffalo Street bond that we issued a few years ago, that project is kind of stalled. George and I signed that. Is there any way that we would ever be personally liable if something fell through on that?
No, because for one, we don't issue bonds. So that bond was an infrastructure bond. So I get what you're saying, but it was not reliant on the development itself. We wouldn't have issued that bond if we weren't paying for construction. So if that bond had to be funded by the project itself, we would have issued that bond like we're doing with GACI, and it would have been paid out as the building was constructed. The bond we did for the Buffalo Street was a pure infrastructure bond, and so it was based on the funds we already had available to pay those bonds. It was not based on any new construction.
Okay. Well, is there any, like a board insurance policy in case, you know, the city would collapse and, I know I have anxiety.
Well, we have,
The redevelopment commission does have bonds, but the redevelopment authority does not, no.
I just don't want to have to pay the interest payments on that bond if something goes.
I mean, I'm not an attorney, and Steve, I can get an answer from an attorney, but I don't believe that you guys would be criminally liable for, or financially liable for anything the city, and even our bond structures, because we have to provide 200% coverage, which is why we get our AA minus ratings. So there's usually a list of how we pay for those bonds, i.e. funds from the district. Then it goes a backup fund, whatever that may be, and I'll just use the GACI. I don't remember the Buffalo Street one off the top of my head, but I'll use the GACI one we're issuing now as an example. So the GACI project will be paid by the funds that are generated from the construction of the project, and that's the taxes collected on that specific project, and then it has a tax certificate back up by the developer. So he certifies that he will pay X amount in taxes, and he will cover any shortfall. So if the payment was $150,000 and he paid $140,000 in taxes, or was due, he would have to pay that $10,000 shortfall as part of his taxes to cover that bond issue. Third, it has a backup of edit. So that's a different funding mechanism or different funding budget within the city. And then fourth, it has a tax rate imposed upon. If all of those failed, the city has to issue a tax rate to pay that bond. So there's like 4 coverages of that bond before. So you're right, it would take an absolute collapse of the city before we wouldn't be able to pay that bond.
Okay.
it's a legitimate question, probably the next time you talk to somebody like Randy. I mean, don't make a call today about it, but the next time you talk to him all the time. Maybe ask him that question that you had someone ask that, you know, that isn't bonded or something like that. Maybe we should consider that. It's not that much money to.
Yeah, I'll certainly ask him. Yeah, but I don't see it. Yeah, I don't. In your capacity as a board member, all the legal documents that we sign, that is your insurance policy.
Of course, the city would have to defend, us, I would assume, in the legal, some kind of legal fight. But yeah, some type of these scary collapse or something, and some.
I mean, you do bring a
wacky
good point. I tell you, if I were in your seat, I would make sure the person in my seat legitimately knows what he's doing. Because that really is the key.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. I'll stop worrying now.
You could take the sign down in your yard. You don't have to sell your home.
Okay.
Well, and I think, if I was coming in here with documents to sign and you didn't know Randy and you never met Randy and Baker Tilly and all the presentations that we bring before the council and the redevelopment commission, then I would be concerned if I were you. But that's why we have those legal representations on the financial side. They're the ones that are protecting us, and by protecting us, the city, they're protecting you.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks.
All right. Sounds good. Good question, though. Let's see. So that's it for new business. We can always talk afterwards if someone has a question or anything. But I was going to ask, do we have any action? On the Marsh property, we've hired that firm. Have
Yes.
they talked to us at all about any action? Did that guy ever from Kokomo? Did his contact ever get a hold of him, or would you not know that?
I would not know that, but I will say I cannot disclose what I do know because
Right.
I've signed a non-disclosure agreement. But they are actively pursuing LOIs on the property, and they're in negotiations. I don't know if it'll pan out or not, but
Yeah.
they're in multiple iterations of the negotiations, and if they feel like if they could get the big domino, they will get the smaller dominoes to fall in place. So,
And that's mainly what I just wanted them to hear that, and I wanted
Yeah.
to hear it myself.
I don't know the terminology. Did you say LLY?
LOI, letter of interest.
Oh, okay.
So they have been negotiating with a large entity that would, I think, take the whole space outside the smaller spaces connected. And I believe they have indicated to me that they have people for the smaller spaces. If the big domino falls, the little spaces will fall. Yeah.
That's good. Well, that's good news.
That's good, that's good, yes.
Good to hear that at least a little action. Okay, well, with nothing else as far as new business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, it's motioned and seconded. Thank you for attending.
Thank you.
Did I beat that too hard?
Tough meeting, yeah, just right.
Yeah.
Here, Steve, you can sign, print your name on that.